What is going on, everybody? It's Joe from Gadgetry Tech, and today we're going to talk about a really special and very new update for your PS5, and that's called the Audio Focus. It's a new update as of the 24th, and it will change your sound drastically for gaming. Obviously, this is going to raise a lot of eyebrows and create a lot of interest, especially for you FPS players out there, because the PC players have always had special tools, whether it's loudness EQ or third-party plugins to add compressors and alter their sound to give them a competitive edge. I'm going to get right to it. Is this tool helpful on PlayStation? Yes, and my recommended setting is to set Boost Quiet Sounds, set it to weak, and that's the most universal and impactful improvement that I've had without having as many negative effects. So start there. Now let's get into the why. So the first thing you need to know is, why is this an impactful change? Well, it's doing two things. It's applying equalization and changing frequency response, and it's also applying something called a compressor. A compressor makes the louder stuff more quiet, and it makes the quiet stuff louder, aka compresses your dynamic range. And by doing so, if you have a very quiet scene and you have footsteps or an enemy sneaking up on you, it's going to boost the frequencies or all frequencies quite a bit, which will make you hear footsteps sooner. Conversely, if you're firing a gun or there's an airstrike, that is normally really loud. Well, it's going to soften that volume a little bit. Now, because this has 4 modes, it's doing it differently with different frequencies, and it's really important to understand this because it's going to change based off your hearing, what game you're playing, and what headset or IEM you own. If you have a very bright, neutral sounding headphone or IEM, something that doesn't have a lot of bass, well, boosting high pitch is going to have a negative effect. It's going to be too crunchy, too bright, too sparkly, and frankly, you're going to wonder what all the buzz is all about. Conversely, if you have a very muddy sounding headphone, something that has gobs of bass, not a lot of treble, and you boost low pitch or maybe boost quiet sounds, those are your couple other options, that might not be the most complimentary for your headset or IEM as well. So it's really important to understand that all 4 of these effectively do the same thing from the compressor side, but the sound impact is going to vary greatly off of what you're playing and what you're using. So to explain things even further and why you want to choose different ones, here are 2 very different sounding headsets. The red line is the Drop PC38X, very open, neutral sounding headphone. It's an awesome headset for gaming. And then the green line is the Corsair HS65 wireless. Not bad for the money, not the greatest, and you can see there is a lot of bass and not a lot of frequency detail in an area that's really important at the 1.5 to 3K area. So when you look at your different boost options for the USB audio update for PlayStation, you're not going to boost low pitch the Corsair. Maybe you would do that on the Drop PC38X, but on the PC38X, the most beneficial one is the boost quiet sounds. And you can alter the 3 settings from weak, medium to high to better fit your needs and compression differences. And on the Corsair, I would actually do boost voices. That is going to lift this whole 1.5 to 3K area and greatly improve that headset's performance for competitive gaming. I'm not just picking words that match what I think it's going to sound like as far as the low pitch, voices, high pitch, and quiet sounds. The reason why I'm doing this and showing you this is because I have a lot of different equipment to measure a huge variety of things, including measuring the frequency response of the PlayStation 5's output. I tested all 4 of these modes, and I can guarantee you that it's going to change the frequencies, I'm telling you, because I measured it. The low pitch is fairly self-explanatory. It's going to reduce, or in this case, increase bass. The voices does focus more in the whole 2 to 4,000 hertz area, and the high pitch is more like 6 to 10,000 hertz. And by boosting that area, things can get very sharp very fast. It's my least favorite one on the competitive side that's useful. The boost low pitch option honestly makes a lot of things sound like you're underwater. It's pretty terrible. I would never touch it for FPS gaming, in my opinion. It actually sounds worse than leaving it off. I'm not going to guarantee this is going to drastically change your gameplay, but it can improve it, and I think the improvements are even greater on lower quality audio products. I'm not knocking if you don't have the best stuff, but it doesn't mean you can't get a competitive edge. So if you have an inexpensive gaming headset, this is going to be a huge update for you. If you have more expensive IEMs like the Moondrop Meteor, which are very, very resolving and clear, not tons of bass, but you hear everything, boosting some of these high frequencies might be overkill, and you might actually have a negative effect, which is why I like boosting quiet sounds, because it's more of a compressor, but you still don't lose as much of the bass as you do on both voices and high pitch. Now, my favorite setting for a good majority of the stuff I own is to enable this mode, set it to boost quiet sounds, and set it to weak. That's the most versatile, because if you set it to high, you introduce too much distortion in some cases. It makes it louder, which makes you think you're hearing more, but it's really like just turning the volume up. You can always turn your headset or IEM up louder anyway on the lower setting, and then you won't have the distortion issues that I measured and heard. Additionally, if you compress it too much, yeah, you might hear footsteps sooner, but you might not be able to judge how close they are to you because you're hearing it all in a similar volume window. So while it does give you an advantage to know where it's coming from, just keep that in mind. You won't exactly know how close they are every time. Lastly, I do like using the 3D audio on PlayStation with this. I didn't find it creating too much conflict. If anything, I think it actually worked better with the 3D audio turned on, especially in Call of Duty. So experiment again, but I recommend trying 3D audio on, boost quiet sounds, and set it to weak. Now, I know there's some Xbox players out there watching this video that might be really upset that PS5 got an advantage that you didn't. Well, Dolby Atmos exists on Xbox. In fact, this has existed for years, and PlayStation's never had anything to remotely compete with that. Xbox gives you a full 10-band EQ, so if you have the extra time, I've had a few videos released to talk about EQ and how to make the most out of your products. You can always customize the sound further very specifically to your headset, as opposed to a more broad stroke approach that PlayStation's giving you. So you get 10 band. There is a volume limiter on Dolby Atmos, or volume leveler, that acts kind of like the PlayStation compressor, but it doesn't sound as crunchy or crisp. It doesn't compress it as much. It can help though. So if you are chasing loudness EQ, at least on Xbox, you have an option that's somewhat close. It's better than nothing. That about wraps up this video. I wanted to save you some time and keep it as close and concise as possible, and just give it a shot. Your mileage is going to vary depending on your hearing and what audio gear you have. That's why you're going to see wildly different feedback online on whether this is helpful or not. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach, and I hope now that by watching this, you understand why. So with that being said, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'd love to see you in some future videos. I do a lot of audio guides both on gaming, and I review a lot of high-end and entry-level audio products to help find the right product for you, regardless of budget. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.